Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. Are you prepared for an EMP or a grid down? I'll tell you why I'm asking that. We're going to talk about that. We've talked about a little bit over the last week or so. We've talked about the potential attack on the homeland. Okay, and everybody's talking about that. I've done videos on that extensively. I laid out exactly the plan on how they might do it and what you need to do about it. So I've covered that some time back. The drone situation. Everybody's still all wound up about the drones. I told you what it was last week, and I just put up something on the Patreon channel from one of our top level, our tier 1 commenters, Hondo Bob, who knows these things, who's actually worked on this drone with the government. And he sent me an article that explains exactly what it is, and I put it up on the Patreon channel, which is why you need to be on the Patreon channel. We have special stuff over there that I never put on YouTube. But then today, by the way, apparently YouTube is pushing my old video, why you shouldn't carry a 9mm. So if you want to know about that, it's up there, and yes, you shouldn't. And now somebody will say, well, why shouldn't you? And I say, and I will respond, watch my video. But I just saw something, and I started to watch the video. I didn't. I got a couple of minutes into it, and it bored me. But it was a video, and I don't remember the name of the channel. Doesn't matter. I wouldn't mention it anyway, since I'm not going to say anything positive about it. But it is AI Predicts. When we've talked about AI too. For those of you who haven't been with us before, we talk about a lot of stuff here. AI predicts an EMP attack on America. Okay. So why am I going to talk about that? And do I agree with that? And what should you do about it? Okay. Now, why should you be concerned? And why would I have something to say about it? A lot of people come out, every now and then people will come out, they rehash this EMP stuff. What do I know? Well, I wrote a book about it. No, I didn't. I wrote 7 books about it. I only have 5 here because the rest are sold out. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and On Wings Like Eagles. And it is a complete series. It explains exactly, I call it the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. It's about essentially an EMP that takes down everything in the world. The first one came out in 17, I think. So this is something that I've been involved in and interested in, and for many, many years. And sadly, whenever it comes out, the next wave of concern, it's covered by people that don't have a lot of background in it, don't understand it. It's just kind of new to them. So I want to explain a couple of things about this. And should you be prepared for an EMP, a CME, or a grid down situation? Yes, it is the number 1 thing that I suggest people be prepared for, because if you're prepared for that, you are prepared for anything else, pretty much. There's a couple of things it might not cover, but pretty much. Okay. I want to read you from, and so people will say, well, what about, what exact effect would it have? And again, people will say it sent us back to the Stone Age and all. There's a lot of misleading information out there, and you have to be careful with that, because a lot of people are interested in things, but instead of studying about it before they start spouting off about it, they just start spouting off about it, and so they put out a lot of misleading information. Let me read you. On the back of it, on the back of this one also, there's a good squib. I'm going to read just a short paragraph from the Revival. And on the back it says, the death of one society can be the birth of another. That's exactly right. So in the preface here, it says, if a Carrington-class CME struck Earth today, now Carrington-class, for you who may not be familiar with it, in 1859, a CME hit the Earth, and it was observed by a British amateur astronomer named Richard Carrington. So they named it after him, and he was the first one to kind of. Others observed it too, but he was the first one that kind of formalized it. Anyway, so if it hit the word Earth today, now pay attention, listen closely to this. Oh, Mark, I'll get back to you. If a Carrington-class CME struck Earth today, it would destroy all electrical grids and electronic components worldwide. Now, at the time of this writing, that was the information that we had. Now, would it necessarily destroy all electronic components? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Again, we have a lot of the scientific information available over on the Patreon channel. But if it takes down the grid, without the grid, your electronic components are going to be compromised, and you're going to have to use alternate sources of energy. Anyway, it says we would immediately be back in a world without electricity. Right. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means about the 1840s. It doesn't mean the Stone Age. It doesn't mean the Middle Ages. It doesn't mean the Dark Ages. It means about the 1840s. Now, one good thing about that, and I will say, that even though we may have used the workable technology, we would not have lost the knowledge. And so it's simply a matter of building back, which is what I explain exactly in the story of Stonemont, the Stonemont series, how we built back. It's a fascinating exercise in thought, and something to think about, and something that more people ought to think about as they think about their preparedness. So we would immediately be back in a world without electricity. A nuclear-induced electromagnetic pulse, EMP, would have the same effect in the targeted area. In either case, the EMP Commission estimates that 90% of those in affected areas would be dead within 1 year from starvation, disease, accidents, and the violence that accompanies societal collapse. How probable is this? Here's the thing to keep in mind. How probable is this? In their 2012 report, the American Geophysical Union projected a 12% chance, 1 in 8, that a Carrington-class CME would strike the Earth within the next decade. Okay? The chance of a nuclear-induced EMP attack from one of our global enemies, we have no way to know. So that was from my book, one of 7 that I've written. I repeat that for people who don't know me. The Revival. Now, if you're thinking about, so what we're left with is the understanding that we are assured a pretty much a planet-killing CME at some point. Okay, so if you are assured you are going to have a problem, wouldn't you prepare for it? I would think so. Anybody who's serious about living a responsible preparedness lifestyle would do that. Okay, the problem is that many people in the so-called prepper world aren't serious. They're not serious about being preparedness minded. We call them PMPs here. Preparedness-minded person or preparedness-minded people. Okay, so a lot of people just kind of splash on the surface and think this is titillating and think this is fun to think about and talk about and everything like that. Well, that's a dangerous way to look at it. The way to look at it is we are assured, essentially. The scientists tell us, and not the scientists from Pfizer, but those who are in the hard sciences say, well, it looks like we have about a 12% chance in the next decade. Now, that was written in 2012. We're already beyond that. So we won that bet, right? 1 in 8. But and they say that the Earth experiences one of these about every 150 years. Well, the last one was 1859. We are beyond that window. So with each progressing decade, we still have that 12%. And if you factor in the once every 150 years, I would say that increases. Now those who have taken their classes on statistics will say, well, no, that's not exactly right. But I would go with that. The longer we go, the more chance we have of experiencing a Carrington class, a global destroying CME. I don't want to be the 90%. Do you? I want to be the 10%, one of the 10% that survives. and that's why I wrote my books. When it gets to EMP, the world is becoming more dangerous, of course. Many people are worried about nuclear exchange. I can see that happening from a bad actor in the Middle East, a rogue, probably not a state actor unless it's Iran, but I think that would probably be kept locally, within that theater. I don't see the superpowers exchanging nuclear, attacks, but I do see attacks on our grid, and I do see what this other channel mentioned in their headline. Again, like I say, I didn't watch it. I'm not saying what they say, but it says AI predicts an EMP attack on America. Well, yeah, and here's how simple it would be, and here's why I don't doubt that at all, and here's why you need to prepare for it. It's not difficult at all to take down our grids with a nuclear induced, and it's called a HEMP, high altitude EMP. And what that is you pop a nuke up, 300 miles above, and it takes out the grid. We wouldn't notice it here, and I think it's lower than that. It's 150 miles or something. I forget. I dealt with all these numbers years ago, and I don't really care about the numbers, because once I get past that, then my interest is preparing for it. And I don't give speeches on this. So, if I did, I'd have the numbers, right? Because that would make me sound smart. But what makes you smart is simply to prepare for it. You don't need to know the numbers. Here's the thing. The United States has three main grids: Eastern, Western, and Texas. And each of those grids is, even though they are grids within themselves, they do share certain things with each other. So you're popping a nuke off, and it would be easy to do. You could put a nuke on a Scud missile, if you're familiar with what those are. Put them on a freighter or a container ship, and you come into our waters off the East Coast, West Coast, Gulf to take out Texas, and you pop those things up, and nobody's going to see them in time to stop them. Okay, it's coming off a freighter, a container ship, and you pop those up, bam, grid's down nationwide. 90% of people will be dead in a year. And I mean, people will start dying immediately. I cover that extensively in the books. So the first thing you have to do is accept that, yes, this is a possibility approaching a probability. Okay, I look at it as a probability. As a matter of fact, if you look at the CME, you pretty much have to accept that it's a certainty. Now, if something is a probability or a certainty, why would you not prepare for that? Why would you not make that your primary preparation? Okay. You should. Simple as that. And as you go through that, and people will ask me, and here again, if you're new to the channel, I talk about mindset. I talk about, I don't talk so much about what you need to put in your go bag, okay? I don't talk so much, I don't teach you how to build a fire. I don't teach you how to build a lean-to 900 ways, okay? I talk about the importance and understanding the importance of overall total preparedness. And I'll throw this in. Don't let people who won't do the work persuade you that total preparedness is beyond your ability. It's only beyond your ability if you don't put in the work for it. You can do it. And one of the first things that I'd do is I would suggest buying the Stonewmount series if you haven't read them. Use them as a study. It's a great story, number one. You'll love the story. But use them as a guide. Here's how to do it. Okay. Now, if you want them quickly, we're sold out here. I'm still waiting for a load to finally catch up. Probably next week. We have a few orders that we haven't been able to get out. And so I don't like to pump selling the books when we still have some on back order. But you can get them on Amazon, and that's the link down below. When I can start filling orders in a timely manner, I'll let you know. And then you can get them from me if you'd like. But you can get them from Amazon. That would be my very first recommendation. Read the Stone Mind series. It will tell you more. It will give you more answers than you have questions for. I will guarantee you. And then take it seriously. This is the thing for which you need to prepare. Because here again, if you're prepared for that, you're prepared for pretty much anything. They're going to, it's difficult to wade through all the fluff and smoke and mirrors in the preparedness world, to be real honest. I mean, you get up every day and you have creators searching for something to make content about. And of course, it has to be scary, and it has to be, titillating, and it has to be this and that. And, I mean, how many times can the world end, right? How many times can World War III start? How many times can the beast system be implemented? You have to back away from that ledge and take preparedness seriously. Make responsible decisions. Understand that preparedness is responsibility. And here's what I always say. It is the ultimate responsibility. It is the ultimate irresponsibility. In order to do it well, you have to have a plan. You have to understand the needs. And it's the basic: food, water, shelter, defense, people. Okay, that's pretty much it. And then each of those, of course, you can go far down those roads as you want to, but those are the basics. And you need to engage your mind as opposed to just asking somebody else, give me the details, Steve. I said this the other day, how many pairs of socks do I need to put in my go bag? Now, that's not for me to say. That's for you to sit down and seriously consider. And say, okay, what if the grid went down for whatever reason, EMP, CME, cyber attack, whatever, the grid goes down. 90% of the people are going to be, a lot of people are going to start dying immediately. Okay. No more police response, no more fire protection, no more emergency medical, no more hospitals. Everybody who's dependent on, the grid to stay alive is going to be gone quickly. Those who depend on medications, certain medications are going to be gone fairly quickly. Though other people are going to start dying from bad water, from starvation, from, as I said in my book, from the violence that accompanies societal attack, collapse, and it's going to start to be a mess at the end of that time. 90% or maybe more, probably more in some areas, a little bit less in others, will be dead. At least 10%. Are you going to be part of the 10%? Well, it depends on how well you've prepared. And then, if you're still living, then what? Then what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to build it back? And that is exactly what these tell you about. They'll teach you how to do it, and you'll love the story. Okay? All right. I just wanted to cover that because of what I saw about AI is predicting an EMP attack on America. Maybe so. Could be. AI, right? It could be. And I don't doubt it a bit. I have always prepared for it. I will continue to prepare for it. So, again, if you want to know how to get the books, the links are down below. If you want them fast, get them from Amazon. If you want them signed by me, but you're willing to wait, okay, then that link is also down below through our website, stonemind.us. So there you have it. Excuse me. There you have it. Should you be scared? You should never be scared, because you should be prepared. And the road to preparedness, wherever you are on it, you could be the most advanced, you could be a beginner. If you're a beginner, don't fret. The road is traveled one step at a time. Okay, do a step every day. Identify the problem, figure out the solution, and then start on that road to the solution. Okay? All right. Hey, again, I want to invite you, if you're not with us on Patreon, you'd learn a lot. You'd get a lot out of the Patreon channel. That link is also down below, so join us over there. We'd love to have you, and you'll be glad you did. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.